Hello and welcome, super friends, to the Nerd Journals. I am Erica, and today I will be answering the AMA questions I've received over the past several weeks. I would like to disclose that I didn't answer all of the questions because some of them made me a little uncomfortable. Most of them were benign, and those are the ones that I answered. I'll do my best to keep my answers succinct, but as a warning ahead of time, I can sometimes ramble a bit. Okay. So my first question is, what are your favorite art tools and supplies? Wow, this is a heavy one to get started with. I love so many supplies and products, but I think my favorite are the absolute basics. I like some decent pens and pencils, an eraser. I like to have glue and scissors, as well as a few magazines with very colorful and bright pictures to cut up. I also love to use cheap acrylic paints, fun stickers, and rolls of washi tape. I can live without watercolors and mild liners, but give me Crayola super tips and I'll be a happy woman. Another question I have here is, what was your first journal? When did you begin to decorate your journals? I went back into my journal archives to answer this question because I wanted to be as accurate as possible. The earliest journal I have still in my possession with a date on it is April 19th, 1998, which interestingly enough is exactly 10 years to the day before I married my husband. That's pretty cool, right? And in this journal, there are several Ziggy comics I glued and lots of doodles and marks with random coloring tools. I think I may have decorated every journal I've ever used. The only difference between then and now is what materials I have access to and the amount of quality of supplies I have versus when I was a child with no money. I use clippings from newspapers and markers more than I do now, when I would be more likely to choose stickers and washi tape, and markers better than rose art markers and random Sharpies I found around the house. Another question is, Erica, how many pages do you write on average? Now, this is an impossible question to answer because there are so many factors involved that can change how much I write. So instead, I'm going to list all the factors in my life that make the number of pages I write vary so greatly. Let me start. How much energy I have will affect how many pages I write. How long I worked for the day. If I had any other obligations that day. If I spent a lot of time creating instead of journaling. How my husband is doing with his mental health. If anything remarkable happened. How much TV I watched. If I'm reading a really good book. If my hands hurt especially bad that day. And there are more factors that aren't related to my life, but specifically my journaling habits. The size of my journal. How much decoration I use on the page. And even what sort of pen I use. But to anyone who hates this answer and wants a number, I would have to say that I write between 0 pages and 20 pages a day. Not a good answer, is it? What is one thing no one knows about you? Well, my mom and I didn't have the greatest relationship, but we had matching tattoos. I only have 2 tattoos, but one is one that matched one my mom had. My tattoo is a puffin with my favorite flower, stargazer lilies, surrounding it. My mother had a tattoo of a puffin with snowflakes surrounding it. My other tattoo is a branch of maple leaves. If I was able to afford more tattoos, I would probably cover myself from the neck down. Most of all, though, I really want some finger tattoos and hand tattoos right now, and a very specific tattoo on my big toe. But yeah, I love tattoos. I wish I could, like I said, I wish I could be tattooed from the neck down, but that's never going to happen. But I do enjoy my couple of tattoos, and I enjoy tattoos on other people, and sometimes my husband draws tattoos on me, so I get my tattoo fix that way, I guess. Another question is, do you meditate? I do meditate. I'm not very good at it, and I lose focus often, but I do my best. My current meditation goal is at least 5 minutes a day, and I keep track of how often I complete my daily goal with the Finch app that I talk about on my Instagram often. Who is your biggest inspiration? My biggest style journaling inspirations are YouTubers, 𝕔𝕣𝕖𝕕𝕚 and Loveland's Life. Their journals are so colorful, and both of them create pages and spreads that blow me away. Also, recently, Love for Paper has inspired me to step up my game with how much I write each day, and her style is wonderful as well. I feel like her style is like my style soul sister, so yeah, if you like my style, you should check out Love for Paper. My next question is, what is your best childhood memory? My favorite memory was when I was around 13 to 14 years old, and my small community held a wake-a-thon for older kids in the town's community center. It was back in the 1990s in a really small fishing village where we were granted much more leeway than most children are given today. Around 5 a.m., me and 3 of my friends left the wake-a-thon and walked to the beach where we sat together and watched the sunrise until we couldn't stay awake anymore. And we all walked to our homes all on the same street after. It is one of my core memories. Yeah, I'm excited to be able to share that one with you guys. So thank you for whoever asked me that question. What are your favorite YouTube channels? I love so many YouTube channels. I'll try to limit my channels with recent and regular updates. So I'm going to start with Jet Pens. I love Fundy Fridays, Primitive Technology, Legal Eagle, and Audit the Audit. I have an eclectic array of interests, obviously. As far as diary keepers go, I enjoy Jess Tunn, Journal with Dolly, Imperfect Pages, Spooky Bean Journals, and Love for Paper. My favorite art channels are East of Honey, Megan in the Moon, Super Ray Dizzle, Pocketful of Ponder, and Carolyn Doobie. Since I've been trying to set up a bullet journal recently, I've also been enjoying a Bujo channel called Jashi Corin. What is your favorite new technique? Also, I feel like my answer to this question answers the question, what is your favorite thing to write about? My favorite technique for journaling is simply writing about what's on my mind. I don't use prompts or write predefined lists. Instead, I open my journal and write whatever is on my mind and keep writing until I run out of things to write about. I also make sure I write about my emotions and not just things that happen. I write about things I do, and I question why I do things. I often follow up sentences I write with the question, why? And I will keep trying to answer why until I get to the core reason of why I do or say things. And this is how I can write up to 20 pages a day sometimes. I hope that answered your question. I'm not really sure what this question meant when it said new technique, so I just answered my favorite journaling technique, and hopefully you guys are happy with the answer. What is your favorite filled journal of all time? I'm going to answer this question a little differently since I have so many favorite filled journals. Most of my filled journals are my favorite journals of all time, so I'm going to talk to you about my least favorite journals. First up, I have this lovely paper chase notebook. The cover is hard, but has a fabric covering it. The inside cover is beautiful as well, with a flower pattern and a picture of baby nerdling Erica on the inside. This journal was used in the summer of 2011, which would have made me only 25 years old. Wow, was I really that young? Was I ever that young? I sure do look that young in the photo. The reason I don't like this journal is because I have a very soul-shattering core memory associated with just book. I find it painful to hold this journal, and I've never flipped through it since completing it. It's not something I enjoy talking about, so on to the second journal I greatly dislike. I also have this tiny Studio O journal, which I wrote in for a short time in December 2015. This journal is so fun and whimsical. I love that the pages were pre-decorated with elephants, mushrooms, rabbits, and other creatures. This is a journal I was writing in when my mom died. I love this journal so much, but after writing it for a while after she passed, I felt like the notebook absorbed some of my negative thoughts and feelings, and it had a sad aura to it. Touching this notebook makes me sad even now, so I don't handle it often, nor do I share this notebook on YouTube. It's too heartbreaking. Last and possibly most hated, because it's not an emotional sadness or pain, it's just a pure hatred for how this journal ended up. This is a Moleskine sketchbook. It's probably my favorite brand and style of journal that I have ever used. I could just no longer afford them. I used this particular Moleskine journal in 2009, and I hate how I covered this journal. And I hate I didn't even sew the cover down to fit. And I hate that I recklessly pulled out pages, and I hate that all of my beautiful pages basically became glued together over the years. This notebook is an awful disappointment, but I did learn a lot of lessons while keeping it. I learned about signatures, and I learned that you could put powder between the pages to keep them from sticking. And also while using this journal, I learned a couple of lessons when it came to trusting others as well. Has anyone read your journals? When I was a child, around 12 years old, one of my friends read my journal, and I think that's the moment that made it hard for me to open up to others. I'm really good at making new surface level friends, but I'm awful at letting people get close to me. I didn't know how to deal with it at that time and ended up staying this person's friend for entirely too long. But it was easier to cut the ties when I moved to a different country when I was 15 years old. I also have suspicions of whether or not my mother read my journals, but I err on the side that I'm more certain than not that she did read my journals, both paper and digital. Since I moved out on my own at the tender age of 18, the only person who's read my journals is my husband, Mark, when I've accidentally left my diary open here or there over the last 20 years. He's been honest with me when it's happened, and we've discussed fragments he's accidentally read. We have an open and honest relationship, so no harm was done during the accidental readings of my journals. Okay, that's it. We got through it. I got through all the questions. Thank you to everyone who left me a question. I hope my answers satisfied your curiosity. Thank you to my patrons who get to view this video earlier than everyone else. If you want to get previews on my blog posts and my videos, you can check out my Patreon at patreon.com/thenerdjournals, or you could click the link below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you again. This was really fun. If you are new here and you enjoy my content, don't forget to give that like and subscribe button, the old tap-tap-a-roo, and you'll see more videos like this from me in the future. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.